They're paper fans that were handed out. It is hot. It is humid. It's in the high 70s. It rained hard this morning. The humidity is still very strong. And you know what? If the Marines are fanning themselves, I think it's okay for us to say, you know what? It's a little bit hot in here today.
Maybe you.
We are ready to go. Tony Henderson, Darren George, and Byron Jarrett are the officials. Pitt in the lighter color camo uniforms. Gonzaga in the darker camo uniforms. And we're underway here at Camp Foster. Big key for the Zags, number 13, Josh Perkins, redshirt freshman point guard, broke his jaw in the 5th game last year, received a medical red shirt. They lost some great guards, including Kevin Pangos. There's an early rejection on the interior by Alonzo Nelson Adota. That's one of his specialties. But now a third opportunity for the Zags. Wilcher's open for 3.
Pittsburgh, the problem they had last year was not being able to protect the rim. Nelson Adota blocks a shot. They're not able to come up with the ball and give up an open 3 as a result.
Michael Young going right at the big fella, Shemet Karnowski, and Young muscles it up and in.
That's going to be the issue for Gonzaga. How do they guard Michael Young and Jamel Artis? They present matchup problems every time down the floor for this big lineup.
Karnowski 7'1", 290. Got a big size advantage on the inside on Young. Eric McClellan misses the jumper, and the long rebound down to Pitt. James Robinson, the senior, ahead to Young, challenges Karnowski again. Ball's loose, and it belongs to the Zags.
Pittsburgh looking to pass ahead, and Young can really run the floor. An excellent offensive rebounder as well.
Wilcher can score in so many different ways from so many different places on the court. Tough turnaround, but he draws the foul.
He's got such great patience. Kyle Wilcher never seems to be in a rush, and he's got such a great perimeter touch. But down in the post, he is equally as good. He backs in his defender, and then he's able to turn over that right shoulder, that turnaround jumper, and fade away. Got fouled as he went up, but he had 33 points in that scrimmage. There's an exhibition game they had against Eastern Oregon, along with 14 rebounds.
He's a senior, a 5th-year senior, spent a couple of years at Kentucky, won a national championship as a freshman, was the SEC 6th man of the year as a sophomore, then transferred to Gonzaga. Mark Few recruited him hard the first time around, didn't get him when John Calipari made a phone call, but he's got him for last year and this year, and he's getting the best of Wilcher right now.
Yeah, Few likes to joke that he recruited him all that hard. John Calipari makes one call, and he's in Kentucky.
And foul away from the ball going against Pittsburgh. I believe it was Nelson Adota who was called for the foul. And one of the, and we'll talk about the rules here and there over the course of the game, but one of the things they're really trying to do, the NCAA is really trying to do, Jay, this year is reduce the physical play and free things up, freedom of movement. We've heard it before, but what does it sound like everybody's intent on really seeing it through this time?
Yeah, I think it's a directive this year instead of a point of emphasis. And you know, the proof is in the pudding. We'll see how it goes. Nice little pick and roll.
Karnowski blocked from behind. Artis got him.
Karnowski kept that ball high. What a great block by Artis.
Artis and Young, 2 huge keys to Pitt's success heading into the season. Artis cradles floater over Wilcher, and he's fouled, and it will be Wilcher called for the foul, the first on him.
That's a tough matchup for Wilcher to have to guard Artis, and you can see keeping that ball high, but even so, Artis comes from behind to just knock that away and start the break. But no matter what lineup Gonzaga's got in there, they've got to find somebody for Kyle Wilcher to guard. And if he's going to guard Jamel Artis, Artis is going to look to drive him at every opportunity.
And Mark Few, and he really says, you know what, this is a learning process. Can the 3 big guys all play at the same time? And one of the differences for Gonzaga, Jay, is for a lot of powerful teams, highly ranked teams, the early part of their season is a little bit easier, and it gets harder in conference play. You can make the claim it's the opposite for Gonzaga. They load up early and try to get as many big games as they can. So Mark Few will be experimenting, if you will, against some very tough competition.
Yeah, and he needs a little 1-2-2 3/4 court pressure right now by Pittsburgh, trying to slow the advance of Gonzaga. But you're right. I mean, Gonzaga plays a really difficult schedule. This is the most guard turnover they've ever had. There's a little pick and pop, and what a great shot fake.
And it'll stay in for Wilcher. He is flying early. He's got all 7 for the Zags.
You know, a little pick and pop, and then Sterling Smith, a guard, the transfer from Coppin State, switches out on him. A little shot fake, and all of a sudden, the guy who doesn't have great foot speed is right in the middle of the lane for an easy one.
Game for Pitt, Ryan Luther. A sophomore kicks it off onto the wing, and Sterling Smith will knock down the three. The transfer from Coppin State.
Boy, great job by Pittsburgh to throw out of that double team and reverse the ball.
Karnowski rejected again.
I think Pittsburgh's defense has gotten better from last year to this.
Well, when for so many years when you thought Pitt, you thought defense and toughness. They're trying to get that back. Robinson open for three. Pitt has the lead.
Well, how about that pass and patience by Michael Young? Took Karnowski into the post and passed it back out to Robinson, who was ready to shoot. That was beautiful.
Pittsburgh 9 and Wilcher with all 7 for Gonzaga. Domantas Sabonis. Now they get it inside. Karnowski, the kick. McClellan open. Too strong on the three. Loose ball rebound to Pitt.
And Michael Young did a great job with help side defense there. When Sabonis gets that ball on a relocation pass, he's got to look to shoot it.
Quick one for Artis. Maybe not the shot Jamie Dixon was looking for there.
Nice pass by Perkins.
Wilcher wide open. His first miss. Robinson ahead. Luther running the floor. And he traveled.
Watch Michael Young here take Karnowski down into the post. When he draws McClellan for the double team, kicks it right out to James Robinson. And Robinson has got to be a better scorer this year, and he's capable of doing that. But just in a few possessions in this game, you can see that how difficult that Artis and Young are to guard. Those guys are versatile. They play well together. They can put the ball on the deck, and they can shoot from the perimeter. That creates a lot of problems for a defense.
Subs for both teams. Kyle Dranginis into the game, and now for Gonzaga, Cameron Johnson, Chris Jones in off the Pittsburgh bench. Gonzaga's only got 9 scholarship players this year. They've got a number of players who are sitting out, transferring, will be eligible next year. Pitt is a deep team. They may have as many as 11 or even 12 players in their rotation when they're healthy. Shot clock down to 5. Dranginis might have gotten away with it, forced it up, and Robinson skies for the rebound.
Boy, what a great rebound for a guard to come down and help out the big guys.
Here's Jones, and he is fouled by Dranginis to take us to our first media timeout of the game. Pretty good start here at Camp Foster. Pitt leads by 2.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy and the Lincoln Wishlist event. Visit your Lincoln showroom today.
Every day on every Marine base throughout the world, Marines raise the morning colors. The colors is a traditional raising of the flag ceremony, and it occurs every morning at 8 a.m. The evening colors at sunset when the flags are lowered. Welcome back to Okinawa. Welcome back to Camp Foster, one of 7 Marine camps here in Japan. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Andy Katz, Kevin Connors, Jay Williams. Excited you are along with us for the 4th annual Armed Forces Classic. Pittsburgh leading Gonzaga 9-7 in the early going.
There is nothing like the national anthem when it's played on a military base.
Yep.
The feeling you get, unbelievable.
Michael Young, he likes taking the guys outside and showing his range. Pitt leads by 4.
And Jamie Dixon and his staff have made a couple subtle changes in their offense to try to get Michael Young the ball more on the elbow so that he can operate in isolation. They're running actually some flare stuff that Virginia runs and runs so well.
On an 8-0 run right now. Good hands by Robinson to tip it away.
But Gonzaga is really struggling. 2 of 10 from the field. That's the first turnover. But they have looked out of sync, and you got to give Pittsburgh's defense an awful lot of credit. Pittsburgh has been super aggressive defensively.
Luther, he can shoot it from out there. Left the 3 short. Ryan Luther, a sophomore from Gibsonia, Pennsylvania, formerly played at Hampton, and now an offensive foul called on the Zags. Robinson steps in to take the charge.
Well, give credit to Robinson, but that was just a bad call. There's no way that was a charge. McClellan had a shoulder past him. Yeah, no way. That's a bad call.
And you can see McClellan and Mark Few, they both didn't like that call at all. McClellan will go to the bench. So it's Dranginis and Silas Melson in the backcourt right now. Wilcher is on the bench for the Zags. Early in the season and all the heat and humidity in the gym, we may see guys playing in shorter spurts here in this game. Wilcher is still the only Gonzaga player to score in this game. Robinson misses the three.
Well, right now, Pittsburgh's got a lineup that Gonzaga's going to have to come out on the floor and guard. Both Sabonis and Karnowski are not going to be able to anchor down in the post. They're going to have to come out on the perimeter because Luther can shoot it. Johnson can really shoot it, as can Jeter. So they're not going to be posting up as much as they are going to be on the perimeter.
Nelson to foul, his first. Jeter inside, and down with the rebound, Sabonis. Sabonis was not a starter last year for the Zags, but he was a terrific, terrific player. Again, has been dealing with a sore back after a hard fall in an exhibition game last week. The son, of course, of one of the great players in basketball history, Arvydas Sabonis. Good hustle there and the save by Sheldon Jeter.
Gonzaga's got 2 turnovers already. Mark Few's trying to wrap his head around this. With the guards he had last year, they hardly ever turned it over.
And they lost a lot when they lost Pankos, Bell, and Wesley. They might have the best front court in America, but they're still trying to figure out exactly what they do have in the backcourt. Corner three is good for Cameron Johnson.
Cameron Johnson was out, what, 26 games last year with that shoulder. And I'll tell you, he's got a good-looking stroke. He really shot it well yesterday in practice.
Karnowski surrounded, finds a cutting Sabonis, who lays it in. Down goes Sabonis, down goes Johnson.
Doesn't look worse for wear with that back that he injured against Eastern Oregon. He took a really nasty fall, and a player as tough as he is to come out of the game, you know it was bad.
And now Wilcher back in. And Karnowski is going out, so it'll be back down to the 2 bigs, which is really the way that Gonzaga played it last year. 2 of the 3 guys were in the game virtually at all times.
Right, and I think that'll be the lineup they play the majority of the time. They won't go with the 3 bigs all at once. Those are the 3 best players, at least early on. I think this young man with the ball, Josh Perkins, is going to wind up being one of their 3 best players, but he's got to figure it out. He's a great passer. I think he's got to be a much better scorer for Gonzaga to be Final Four good.
Jonathan Milligan into the game now for Pittsburgh, a point guard, junior college transfer, wearing number 55. Tranginis swings it. Beautiful. Great ball movement and a good look in the corner. Not there for Melson, and out of bounds to the Panthers. It's Saturday Night Football presented by Walmart, and a great game, number 12, Oklahoma, and undefeated and 6th-ranked Baylor on ABC at 8 o'clock Eastern Time Saturday night. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN. So that's tomorrow night for those of you watching back home. It's later today, we think, for those of us here. It's taken us a couple of days to get the time zone straight.
Jonathan Milligan slipping on the floor. It is very slick out there. And you can see guys are going down, and obviously their perspiration getting on the floor makes it worse. But even without that, that is a very slick basketball floor right now. Players are going to have to be sure of their footing.
We are in a gym that is normally used for basketball. It's a recreational gym that generally has 3 courts in it, but it's very hot and humid here. The temperature in the high 70s, raining off and on, and you can see there Perkins slipping as well.
I'm just glad that you demanded that we wear suits.
Remind me to undemand that next year.
Yeah, I think it's in your contract that we have to wear suits when it's above 80 degrees and humid. Nice going.
Thanks. 5-point lead for Pitt, 7.5 minutes in. High arcing long jumper there for Johnson. It's a long 2 that makes it 16-9 Pitt.
But how different of a team is Pittsburgh when they're playing like this offensively and playing defensively as hard as they've been.
Sabonis with the lay-in at the other end to bring the Zags back within 5. Wilcher trying to stay with Jeter out on the perimeter. One of the big changes, and we haven't talked about it yet. Remember, the shot clock is now at 30 instead of 35 in college basketball. Another attempt to increase scoring. The foul that will take us to a timeout. 11:55 to go first half. Pitt up by 5. Indo-Asia Pacific region, and we are very grateful for their presence and for their enthusiasm here today in this basketball game. Right now it's Pitt off to a good start, leading 16-11. And Kyle Wilcher's got 7. Sabonis the other 4. Otherwise nobody else has scored for the Zags, and Gonzaga uncharacteristically has turned it over, although as you said, Jay, they got a brand new backcourt this year, at least in terms of the start.
And they're getting a lot of different touches. It's not like Young and Artis have done it all. They've really moved the ball around well, and different guys are getting able to do their thing.
Chris Jones fouled on a 3-point attempt. And we'll head to the free throw line. That foul going on Brian Alberts, who has checked into the game, a redshirt freshman from Northridge, California. He came in after Silas Melson picked up his second foul just prior to the last timeout. Not a very deep Gonzaga team.
Just a defensive mistake by Gonzaga. With Chris Jones, he's an excellent standstill catch and shoot guy. Shoots a very good percentage when he doesn't have to put the ball on the floor. He's 63% on catch and shoot effective field goal percentage. Now when you force him to dribble it, he's almost 30% less efficient. And that's, you know, that was in Gonzaga's scouting report. Make him dribble before he shoots it.
Sixth different player to score for Pitt already. Jones averaged 8.5 points per game last year. Pitt is picked 10th in the ACC out of 15. The top three, Carolina, Virginia, Duke. Do you see this team, though, as being potentially better than the 10th best team in that league?
I thought so before we got here because of the personnel that they've got. They've got 3 graduate transfers. They're much more talented this year than last year, much bigger. But after watching them in the first half of this game, there's no, if this is the 10th best team in the ACC, it's going to be a monster league.
Yeah. We talked about a grad transfer. Here comes one of them now. Rafael Maya, number 5, still working himself into playing shape, coming back from a number of injuries, including a cracked rib. Spent the last 3 years at Brown and led the Ivy League in rebounding each of those 3 years. The drive and the floater for Perkins.
That's what Perkins needs to do. Off any pick and roll situation, attack the lane. And he's a big time player. He averaged 25 a game his junior year in high school. And then he transferred to Huntington Prep, where he was more of a pass-first point guard. I think Mark Few and his staff are trying to get him to be more of a scorer's mentality guard and just make the right play.
Shot clock down to 10.
And you see how gingerly the players are moving around to keep from slipping.
Young lost it, still loose, and saved out of bounds. It belonged to Pitt, but only 3 on the shot clock.
Josh Perkins is so good with the ball. When he comes off of this pick and roll, instead of stretching it out, he just needs to go, really attack that lane, attack the elbow, get into the lane. He tried to stretch it out a little bit, and Milligan was really late, so he saw the opportunity to go and went. But if he came off that much more aggressive, he really would have put pressure on that defense and maybe scored and got fouled.
Johnson to the bench. Artis back into the game for Pitt. 3 on the shot clock. Robinson, a deep one. Long rebound out of bounds to the Zags. And even there, where guys are changing directions when the rebound hit hard off the rim, you're right. They're a little bit cautious because of the moisture and the condensation on the court.
Yeah, they're trying desperately not to slip out there, and it makes it very difficult to hit your plant foot and change direction. You can see that everybody's like taking their palms and rubbing the bottom of their shoes, which you used to do on the playground.
Perkins out to Wiltshire. Yeah. Wiltshire another 3, and he's into double figures with 10.
What a great offensive player. And there is a place for him in the NBA with his ability to stretch the floor as a 4-man that's got big-time range.
And another strong drive by Young. He hasn't been shy about challenging the bigs of the Zags.
Anytime Young catches it, he looks down at your feet, and he's got the ability to make a 19-foot jumper with ease. Boy, can he drive it. Both he and Artis.
Nearly stolen by Artis. Sabonis recovers and is fouled by Artis. Second on Jamel Artis.
Wiltshire can pick and pop. He can pick and roll, but especially dangerous in a pick and pop situation. And Perkins did a nice job of really attacking that well. And once Young gets a step on you, I mean, he was absolutely gone on Kyle Wiltshire. Wiltshire just can't stay in front of him. That's a matchup that Pittsburgh is going to drive every opportunity. Whoever Wiltshire is guarding, they're going to look to put the ball on the floor and attack him.
Just past the midway point of the first half. If you're just joining us, we're at Camp Foster, a Marine base here on the island of Okinawa in Japan. The Armed Forces Classic. Pittsburgh leading Gonzaga by 5.
Wiltshire was wide open after setting that screen. He put so much pressure on. If you switch, all of a sudden he's got Robinson on him. He's going to take Robinson down into the post. He's got an NBA mentality with the speed with which he plays, and he really recognizes mismatches, and the guards just have to do a better job of recognizing those so they can go to him.
A foul on Maya, his first, 5th on the team, 6th on Gonzaga, as the as the directive to the officials is to try to free up movement, calling things a little bit more closely than they have in the past. You expect a lot of whistles early in the season.
Well, it depends whether players adjust. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that hard of an adjustment. But if you're going to try to impede using your hands or using an arm bar, they're going to call it. But they're also, as we've noticed, they're calling illegal screens too. And so anytime you're moving on a screen, the referees are calling that as well.
And that was called on Karnowski right there. The big man, and I do mean the big man, the 7'1", 287-pound senior from Poland. Karnowski, Sabonis, and Wilcher all had a chance to play internationally this summer. Karnowski for Poland, Sabonis for Lithuania, Wilcher for Canada. So all of them gaining some valuable international experience in the offseason.
Yeah, big man doesn't really do it for Karnowski. He's like, they got to start calling him huge man or gigantic man.
But a guy who, as young, will shoot over him. But you like his footwork, his hands for a guy his size, right?
His feet are really good. His hands are spectacular, and he's a great passer. Got a wonderful feel for the game. Yeah, he played last season with a lot more weight, and Mark Few and his staff are like, is he sneaking pizzas into the dorm? Like, what is he doing? And he had a problem in his stomach where he was making too much yeast, I guess they said, and so he couldn't properly digest food. And I don't know. I'm not really a doctor, as you can tell. But they took care of that problem.
That out? Okay,
and he's been in much better shape. He looks much better. He's moving better. He's a heck of a player.
And again, trying to mop up some of the perspiration on the court right now. The foul was on Robinson, his second. And Eric McClellan will be at the free throw line, his first. Forgive me, Eric McClellan at the free throw line for Gonzaga, the former Vanderbilt player. Became eligible midway through last season.
Could you tell from that explanation I went to law school and not medical school? Spent a lot of time in medical school.
To the bench goes Alberts. McClellan, a guy who's going to be a much bigger factor for the Zags this year than he was a year ago as well.
Big time defender and a spectacular athlete.
Johnson beat his man down the floor, but missed the three, and it is out of bounds to the Zags.
When Michael Young really went after that offensive rebound to get around Karnowski. He had 111 offensive boards last year. That was third in the ACC. And Jahlil Okafor was #1. But he's a big-time offensive rebounder.
Pittsburgh not used to missing out on the NCAA tournament. They were an NIT team a year ago, finished at 19-14, lost their last 5 games of the year. But without question, they are a deeper team than they were a year ago with all those transfers coming in. Karnowski the kick. Perkins rises up for a three. Kept alive by Dranginis, but it finds the hands of the Panthers.
So there you can see Karnowski's passing ability. He should have just taken that shot.
Stolen away by Perkins. Got caught in the air and very fortunate to find a teammate.
Robinson hit his head when he slipped. I mean, it is really slick out there. When guys are trying to stop, their feet are just flying out from under them. Robinson hit his head hard.
And Robinson still down on the court. Jamie Dixon is out there. Trainer Tony Salisi is out there as well.
He is an incredibly tough kid, but he took an unbelievable spill there.
A senior from Mitchellville, Maryland, a 4-year starter for the Panthers. And now back to his feet. A great sign.
So there's some blood there. I hope there's no concussion issue. But his feet just go right out from under him, and he faceplant. I mean, he hit his head really. I saw that live. He hit it really hard. He opened up a pretty good cut there on his cheek. Only positive he gets to stand in front of that fan.
Yeah, this is an issue that was drawing some concern before the game because of how humid it is here. And once you got 2,700 members of the Marines in here and the players perspiring on the court, how slick would the court get? And I think we have our answer.
Well, the coaches were, a lot of the assistant coaches had come over to me talking about how slick it was, and we could tell just when we walked across the floor.
Well, we have a moment, a chance to tell you about some other great college basketball action coming up. Tuesday night, we will be back stateside at the United Center in Chicago for the State Farm Champions Classic. The first game, Kentucky and Duke, and then Kansas and Michigan State. Coverage begins Tuesday at 7 Eastern, also streaming live on Watch ESPN, one of the signature events on the college basketball calendar every year.
And an amazing group of freshmen, especially in that Kentucky-Duke game. A fellow Canadian of yours, Jamal Murray, is an outstanding player. I mean, he's going to be an All-America. Now, whether it's first, second, or third team, I don't know, but it's going to be one of those. He's a big-time player.
And all four teams with Final Four aspirations, and obviously they have earned their way into this Champions Classic with the kind of success that they've had in the past. Duke adding another national championship last year. Kentucky in the Final Four. Tom Izzo took his team to the Final Four. Bill Self's team certainly has Final Four ability this year.
Well, incredibly deep are the Kansas Jayhawks, led by Frank Mason Jr. and Perry Ellis. Kentucky, Duke, and Kansas all ranked in the preseason top 6. The only one not ranked in the top 10 preseason is Michigan State, and I think they should be, because Tom Izzo's got a team. This may be his best shooting team, and he's had some pretty darn good teams. And Denzel Valentine, now a senior, is just an elite player. He had a fabulous summer. Played extremely well, can really pass it. His shooting is great, his decision making.
He played for Mark Few, actually. Mark Few was the coach of the United States team in the Pan Am Games in Toronto, and Denzel Valentine was one of the collegiate players. It was a mix of pros and college players, and Valentine did a nice job playing for Mark Few in that tournament.
And James Robinson, who was just injured when hitting his head there, played for Mark Few and Billy Donovan on the U.S. national team in the World Championship. So Mark Few has seen James Robinson up close every day in practice. A lot of connections with USA basketball by a number of these players.
All right, back to the game with 8:30 to go here in the first half. McClellan takes the cross-court feed. Wilcher a little bit too deep off the front of the iron. Long rebound to Milligan. What an athletic play that was. He's trying to keep his feet, slipping and sliding a little bit in the front court.
He navigated all those obstacles and almost slipped with nothing in his way. He was at Kilgore Junior College, highly recruited player out of high school. And he's going to really help with the backcourt with his athleticism, his ability to defend.
A bit of a different kind of guard than Robinson is. Shot clock is down to 5, and a carry is called on Milligan. So we have arrived at the under 8 media timeout. Pittsburgh leading Gonzaga 21-16 here at Camp Foster on the island of Okinawa.
Camp Foster here in Okinawa, Japan. I am joined by Colonel Lee Fecto, who I met actually while jogging the other day with her husband Steve, and she's got an unbelievable story. Colonel, you are Vietnamese American, and you were telling me before what this means to you to represent the Marine Corps in this part of the world because of your heritage. Why?
You know, Andy, it's a great day for us every day. It is a privilege, and I'm completely humbled that I can wear this uniform and follow in the footsteps of so many great veterans that have served our country throughout history. So I am very humbled, very proud to be an American in our great nation that we serve with honor, courage, and commitment. And I am today wearing this uniform because of their sacrifices in our history.
So you came here in 1974. Can you take us back to your life before that? We have a picture you wanted to show?
I do, and in here is a picture. And if you could see that, that's where I came from. And like many Marines and many of our service members, they come from very humble backgrounds. And every day when we wear this uniform, we know that we serve proudly to a great nation that represents a lot of strength, hope, and a lot for others across the globe.
You're also a mother, as I mentioned, also a wife. What's it like for that sacrifice for your kids and your husband to be so far from home?
You know, there are many days when you miss when they're little and you miss the first days, you miss their first smile, or you miss their first word, but it gets a little bit more difficult as they get older, because then they realize you're not there. And then it gets harder when you're not there for that really hard math homework or that special science project. And, you know, the days go on, but for the times that you are together, it's just that much more special and much more precious.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Back to you, Dan.
Andy, thank you very much. And everybody's got such a unique story, and we've gotten a chance to hear so many of them over the last couple of days here. All the brave men and women here at Camp Foster and throughout Okinawa. This is one of 7 Marine camps on the island of Okinawa. We're about a 2.5-hour flight south of Tokyo, and Okinawa is located in a very strategic location for a variety of reasons here in Southeast Asia. And the United States has a number of alliances with countries in this area to protect and share information, resources, and so forth to keep this part of the world safe and secure. Meanwhile, Kyle Wiltjer knocked down another 3 during that interview to make it 21-19. So Wiltjer now has 13 points already.
Well, Wiltjer used that time not necessarily in a pick and roll situation, but he was the guy when the defense helps off him. He was wide open. Really a well-run play by Gonzaga. That's really helped, I think, the defense ratchet up. And you can see that Wiltjer just, Karnowski setting the screen. When there's help off, Jeter helped off, and that left Kyle Wiltjer wide open for a little catch and shoot. And you leave him open for any length of time, and he's going to make it. What a terrific offensive player.
And James Robinson is back in the game for Pitt. But now I think he's bleeding again. I think he's bleeding through the bandage that they put on him. So we're going to have a quick timeout on the floor as they tend to that. So as they tend to that cut on the face of James Robinson during this timeout, 7:18 to go here in the first half. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Pittsburgh leading Gonzaga 21-19 here at Camp Foster. Robinson's the first guy out on the floor. It's like he's afraid somebody's going to say, no, you can't play. He wants to get back out there before they tell him he can't. He's still bleeding.
Well, the players are continuing to slip when they're trying to plant and make a cut. And they're just going to have to be careful. I mean, it's a difficult condition out on the floor.
And a 5-second call will turn it back over to Gonzaga. 7th turnover committed by Pittsburgh.
Gonzaga doing a much better job of defending over the last 5 or 6 minutes. They started out slow, but their defense has really picked up.
A chance to tie or take the lead on this trip.
One of the guys that can be a great defender and make a difference for Gonzaga is Eric McClellan. He's got big-time defensive potential. Great pass.
But Karnowski is fouled at the rim is the call. And we'll head to the free throw line for 2.
Just a little ball screen off of the ball reversal. And Drankinis did a terrific job of just hitting Karnowski, and Jeter just a little bit late getting there. But Maya not able to hedge and still get down with Karnowski to knock that ball away. And it shows, even though Karnowski is right around 300 pounds, he can move his feet.
Karnowski as a kid was more of a soccer and hockey player back at home in Poland than he was basketball. Eventually outgrew those sports. First team all West Coast Conference last year as he steps to the free throw line for a pair.
Karnowski, a left-hander. Very good going over that right shoulder, as is Sabonis, another left-hander. Sabonis has been out of the game for an extended period.
One of 2, rebound Young.
I think Pittsburgh needs to look to Young here. If Johnson's hit some shots, there's another illegal screen. But Luther.
Another one of the directives about the moving screens.
There's no question. I mean, as a screener, what you need to, it looks like Robinson's bleeding again. But as a screener, you just need to come to a stop and let the cutter use you instead of leaning in or not being set.
Blood is still coming from that cut, but they've got such a large bandage on the right side of his face right now that at least at this moment, it's covering up that blood, so they're letting Robinson stay in the game. They get him to halftime and do some work at that point. 2-man game again. Karnowski lays it in.
That was the same play that Wiltjer was open on just after the timeout. And this time there was no help on the roll man Karnowski. He gets a wide open layup. Now the last time they ran this, see Karnowski sets a screen, rolls. Luther can't get there. But the last time it was Jeter helping off in the same position that Michael Young was, guarding Wilcher, and they gave up an open 3. This time Young stays home, and it's a layup for Karnowski.
Meanwhile, in the last 3:45 or so, Pittsburgh no points and 4 turnovers.
Look how Robinson is affected by not being able to plant. He is so worried about slipping, but he can't really move.
Young with a crossover, a little bit short, down with the rebound, Wilcher.
Nice job by Karnowski just to stay big and go straight up and down. Look, that was Mozgov-esque.
14 minutes in, Karnowski down to the post. Right back into him.
How about that catch?
Backing his way in, jump hook, no. Wilcher, yes.
Like Gonzaga has really shown a lot of toughness and grit to come back and take this lead. That's impressive.
8-0 run Zags. Jamie Dixon uses another timeout. Back at Camp Foster, Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Andy Katz, Kevin Connors, Jay Williams. The 4th annual Armed Forces Classic. Gonzaga's got a lead now on Pittsburgh. Jamie Dixon just used another timeout, and this is another one of the rule changes, is each team has 1 less timeout this year, Jay, than they have had in the past. 1 less 30-second timeout, 1 less timeout carries over to the second half. So you can see, say, Gonzaga there, you can see they've still got 4. We're used to seeing 5 dashes. It's only 4 dashes this year, and Jamie Dixon's already used 2 of his 4.
Yeah, that'll help a little bit with the flow, as will the players getting back out on the floor from a timeout, getting out of the huddle. The referees have been directed to speed that part of it up so we can get back to playing a little bit quicker. And I think as a cumulative effect, all that'll help with the flow of the game.
8-0 run for the Zags. A little token pressure now, but Pittsburgh breaks it. Baseline, Luther going strong at Karnowski, but the big man was having none of it.
Needed to go square to the basket. He opened up, and Karnowski able to block it. Pittsburgh broke that 1-2-2 pressure to score, but when Luther got the ball, he needed to have his shoulders square to the backboard. But he goes in chest first, and Karnowski just threw it away. See, if he goes square, then all of a sudden Karnowski's got to come over his left shoulder and is more likely to have to foul him, like there.
And Karnowski called for the foul on that play. His second.
Big time block by Karnowski. He's like an eclipse.
I mean, this is a team with NBA size on the front line. They go 7'1", 6'11", 6'9". When all 3 of them are in there, which they have been for a few minutes in this game. Not right now. Wilcher on the bench right now, but now he's going to come back in, but only because Karnowski just picked up his second foul.
You know, and they all 3 big guys bring something different. I mean, Wilcher is an outstanding scorer. Karnowski, a really good low post player, very good defensively, and also an excellent passer. And Sabonis is a fabulous rebounder, especially on the offensive end. You're not going to find a tougher big guy.
Yeah. He's got a little nasty in his game.
No question. Wonder where he gets that from.
His dad, one of the all-time great players. Look at Sabonis switching hands there. The lefty lays it in with the right.
Well, he just played the angle so well. Like, I think a post man is always open. It just depends on the angle of the ball. And he was being fronted, so Gonzaga threw the ball up to Kyle Wilcher, and he just used that angle and threw it right over the defense. And there wasn't enough pressure on him to take away. See, Sabonis is open even though Luther is fronting him. He's just open from that angle. And that was really well done by Gonzaga. This is an excellent offensive team that understands angles. Not open there, being double teamed, but he's open there. Really impressive.
Eric McClellan just called for his second foul at the other end. Bonus situation. Robinson to the line for 1-and-1.
Well, Pittsburgh's defense has not been bad. They've only given up 26 points. They've had a couple of breakdowns, but their offense has really slowed down. Gonzaga's defense has picked up nicely, but Pittsburgh is going to have to find a way to score. Jamel Artis being out of the game, that takes away a big-time scorer.
Artis with 2 fouls. That's why we haven't seen him in a while. Now a turnover committed by Gonzaga.
And that's a turnover you wouldn't have seen from last year's Gonzaga team with those really experienced guards. Gary Bell Jr. was a defensive player of the year in the West Coast Conference. Kevin Pangos was the player of the year, and then Byron Wesley transferred in from SC. I mean, that was you talk about a great trio of guards.
Robinson the drive. Scoops it up and in to tie the game.
Well, there's the more aggressive James Robinson. He looks to score. What a good pass.
Sabonis can't maintain possession. Pitt back looking for the lead.
Jones had that shot and passed it up, I think, because of how wet the ball was.
Nearing the final 4 minutes of an entertaining first half here in Okinawa. Young. Fake after fake, kicks it back out. Jones rises up for a three, and Pitt has the lead.
Great pass out by Young, and when you don't make Jones put the ball on the floor, 63% effective field goal percentage. Got to make him dribble.
Nelson with a soft touch baseline floater, zags back within one.
Boy, it's fun watching these teams go back and forth. I missed this game.
Yeah, me too.
Referee's telling Jamie Dixon to sit down, his team to sit down, but his players are standing up and fighting. Great pass out. Chris Jones with the catch and shoot. And James Robinson bangs his head on the floor and then knocks one in off the backboard.
Foster coming up at the half on the Jeep halftime report. We will have scores and highlights from around the sporting world. Also a preview of the Champions Classic. They're the guys who are going to take you there. Kevin Connors, Jay Will took their jackets off, cooling off a little bit. Also a look at jungle warfare training here on this Marine base. All coming up on the Jeep halftime report. They're doing what they can with those fans to try to keep the players as cool as they can. Try to get all the moisture to the best extent possible off the court. But Jay, there's only so much they can do, and so far James Robinson has paid the biggest price.
Well, just backpedaling, nothing out of the ordinary for a basketball player in transition, but he really, when he slipped, he had no way to protect himself. It happened that fast, and you can see the players are moving around gingerly on the court. I mean, this is no joke out here. They've got to be a little bit more mindful.
Robinson has played for several minutes since the injury once they got him bandaged up. Young trying to get position over Sabonis. Sabonis down with a rebound.
Well, Young had the angle, just didn't finish the play. Very patient down in the post.
And Perkins will draw the foul. It's going to be Jones who gets called for the foul for Pitt.
How cool is Jay Williams? I mean, he's wearing
a whole different level of cool.
Well, he's wearing a vest.
Yeah.
He's not bothered. He's not bothered at all by the heat. You're wearing a tank top and moaning like a little kid.
Some of us are staying suited up the whole game. Some of us are doing what we're supposed to do the whole game.
I'm wearing a turtleneck sweater in addition to my suit.
Here comes Melson for the Zags. They're down by one. Another floater. Second time he's knocked one of those down. Gonzaga back on top.
But how about the hesitation move there by Silas Melson? He is fired up. That was a great individual offensive play.
Sophomore from Portland, Oregon, averaged just over 3 points per game last year. Another player hits the deck. It's Robinson again. He's back up as Young muscles his way in and is fouled by Sabonis.
I thought they got Perkins reaching in.
They? Yep.
Silas Melson coming down with that left-hand dribble. A little bit of a hesitation move, and then what a pretty floater along the baseline. He's got the ability to really score. Very athletic, hunts his own shot, and that's something they're trying to get Josh Perkins to do, is hunt his shot. You know, when you look for your shot, it doesn't make you a selfish player. You know, taking bad shots make you a selfish player. Looking for your shot, looking to score makes you a threat.
Young at the free throw line for Pitt. Missed the first. 6'9" junior from Duquesne, Pennsylvania. Better than 13 points per game. Same for Artis. The highest scoring returning duo in the ACC belongs to the Pitt Panthers.
And right there with Marcus Page and Bryce Johnson in North Carolina, just a tad bit behind those two. And right now, Jamel Artis spending a lot of time on the bench for those 2 fouls. He's going to have to really come in the second half and look to do something. What a pass!
Dranginis to Sabonis.
Gonzaga is opening up the floor. There's a wide open middle. And when there's a little ball screen and a hard roll to the basket, well, if you don't pick up that roll man, he's going to get a layup. If you do, if you help off, then there's going to be a wide open shot.
That's 4 assists already in the game for Dranginis off the bench. Into the final 2 minutes of the first half.
So these camo uniforms that Nike made are beautiful, but they should have been neoprene. they have sweat through these things. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you're right. Young draws another foul heading back to the line.
Sabonis sets a little screen up top, and Luther just gets on the high side of it. There's nobody to help because of the great spacing out on the perimeter. It's basically like an NBA type play. That was really impressive. Look, we're getting fanned by the Marine Corps. That was come on, that was impressive. That's when, Dan, that's when you know you're a star.
Yeah, that's right.
Luckily, I'm with you. You know you're a star. The Marine Corps is fanning you.
It's working.
That's pretty impressive. Do you know he's Canadian?
How long can you guys stick around?
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Let's stick with the American guy here.
And we're tied at 32.
More token pressure, try to slow the advance. Now with both Sabonis and Wilcher into the ball game, they can screen together.
Dranginis misses the 3. Sabonis on the glass, can't gather it, and it's Pitt ball.
There's a gang rebounding by Pittsburgh there.
Jones had to get rid of it. Johnson, and maybe again the ball wet with perspiration. It's so humid in here, just couldn't squeeze the pass, and it goes back over to Gonzaga.
What a terrific job by Domantas Sabonis to get there and really pressure that shot by Chris Jones, because Jones has hit one when he wasn't made to put the ball on the floor, and Sabonis did a really nice job of recovering out, and that's where a shot fake would have really helped Chris Jones. Shot fake, put the ball on the floor, he might have gotten a layup out of it.
Just people are falling over when they get near Sabonis. He keeps his feet, and he'll get the assist on the Dranginis 3.
Everybody was slipping. That was like an ice rink out there. It was so slippery that the headband came off of Michael Young. And just a little, he just slipped. I mean, it wasn't like there was any contact.
Yep. And then Robinson slipped. Robinson went down again. Robinson's already been injured because of it. It's a cut, and he's come back to play. You just hope nobody gets seriously hurt given the conditions.
Well, you know that the referees are going to monitor it. If it becomes a dangerous condition, they'll do something about it. But right now, it doesn't appear to be dangerous. Well, maybe I'm wrong there, because I mean, he's slipping all over the place, and guys can't really plant. The scary part was when Robinson fell the first time. He had no way to protect himself.
Right. Literally went face first into the court. Nice drive by Young. Hit back within 1.
It makes you wonder whether you should go a little bit of zone.
Wilcher, the scoop. No basket. Offensive foul.
Now, it used to be, Dan, if you let that go before you made contact, they would count the basket. Now, if there's an offensive foul, it doesn't matter. The basket will not count, period.
Another one of the new rules put in this year. So as Jay says, it does not matter if you release the ball before he made contact. A charge is a charge, and the basket cannot count.
Now that was just good defense by James Robinson. I don't happen to think he got there before he left the floor, but it was close enough. And usually in college basketball, they call so many charges, that's going to be a charge.
33 seconds left in the half. Of course, the shot clock is at 30, another one of the new rules. So Pittsburgh can basically hold just a few seconds difference, as again, they do everything they can to try to get as much of the moisture off the court as possible.
I mean, the players are trying as best they can. They keep trying to rub the bottom of their shoes and then trying to do it on the floor, but there's not much they can do. Pittsburgh can basically take it all the way down to 0 on the clock and still have time for a tip in. Look at Robinson. He's running like an old man because he's afraid to slip.
Misses the three. Luther with a putback and a foul.
Well, he just took it right out of the hands of Silas Melson. Melson was looking to I thought he was looking to turn to the outside before he had actually gotten the ball, and Luther just took it away from him. He never made contact on a block out, and Luther took advantage of it. But that was a big play by Ryan Luther.
It's about to be halftime.
So Luther heads to the line looking for three. The guy who figures into the mix of the 4 and the 5 spots for the Panthers this year.
But Gonzaga really battled back in this first half. It was looking like this could go sideways on them, and they really fought. That's the way their program is. I mean, Mark Few's teams fight.
And Mark Few will take his use it or lose it timeout here with 5.4 seconds left in the first half, just prior to the free throw attempt by Luther. Well, November, sometimes you never know what you're going to get. Teams are just learning about themselves, but I think given how early it is in the season and given the tough conditions on the court here, I think both of these teams have played exceptionally well.
They played exceptionally well, and if it weren't for slipping around, I think we'd be looking at a score with both teams in the 40s in the first half. Both teams have played really hard. It's unfortunate that Jamel Hart has picked up that second foul. He's been out basically the whole first half, saving it for the second.
Kyle Wiltshire with a game-high 15 to lead the Zags. Michael Young leads Pittsburgh with 11.
Well, and you can see in this first half why, I really believe Kyle Wiltshire can lead the nation in scoring. I mean, he is a big-time scorer. Every time he shoots it, you not only think it's going in, it goes in.
Yeah. Three-point range, post, mid-range, free throw line. He can score from everywhere.
Well, he shot 58% effective field goal percentage last year. Shot 47% from three. Now that 47% was 4th in the nation, and shot 58% on post-ups. When we're talking about his shooting ability on his spot-ups for Kyle Wiltshire, he shot 58% last year on spot-ups. The only other guy that did that was Kentucky's Devin Booker. And that's how good of a shooter he is.
And Wiltshire's 6'9".
Exactly.
Get a shot off over anybody. Perkins trying to go coast to coast. Can't finish. And the first half comes to a close. A good first half with the Marines loving it here at Camp Foster. And Pittsburgh leading Gonzaga 37-35 at halftime. Let's go on to the court. Andy Katz is with Pitt coach Jamie Dixon.
All right, thank you, Dan. Jamie, I just talked to the officials. They say it is very close to a dangerous situation. How concerned are you that the second half can even go on?
Well, I was very concerned before the game. It's something we talked about. We knew it. My days in Hawaii prepared me for this, so it's tough. Both teams are playing hard. It's 2 good teams. We're going to have to see how it goes, but we've got to be impressed with both teams playing as hard as they are given the circumstances. We're not going to quit on these guys. We came out here to show these guys the game.
What are you telling your players in terms of how to deal with their inability to plant when they're trying to make a move?
Well, stay down, stay balanced, and don't give a shot fakes, but being ready early. We've adjusted because of it, some things that we're doing defensively, but they're still a good team, obviously, offensively. They make it challenging at different spots.
Thanks, Jamie.
All right, thanks.
Back to you, Dan.
All right, Andy, thank you. Pitt leading by 2 at halftime here with the Armed Forces Classic. When we come back, the Jeep halftime report will send it back stateside to Chris Connor and Seth Greenberg. Welcome back to Camp Foster here in Okinawa. Dan Schulman and Jay Billis with you. And as everybody who was watching the first half saw, the conditions became somewhat dangerous. All the perspiration, the humidity, Jay, players slipping and falling, and James Robinson suffering a bad cut on his face. And we have been told that the officials have decided that the court is not playable. It is too dangerous, and the game will not continue.
Yeah, the referees came over to us, and after assessing the floor when they came back out for the second half, determined that it was a dangerous condition and the game could not be played under safe enough conditions for the players. And it is up to the officials. They're the ones that make this call, and they have made the call. And the players, this is Mike Lesak of Pittsburgh, they want to play. I understand that. I understand the competitive nature of it, but the officials cannot allow the players to be in this kind of danger. And you have to just look at what happened with James Robinson in the first half when he fell in a routine play. He was just backpedaling on a fast break. And when his feet slipped out from under him, he had no way to protect himself and hit his head on the floor. Now it opened up a cut. But the issue, if he were concussed in that type of play, which very easily could have happened, he wouldn't be able to fly home. Right. He'd have to stay here until he could do that. There he was hitting his head right there. That was a very dangerous play. And I happen to agree with the officials with the decision they've made here. It's in the best interest of the players. It is certainly not what we want, not what the fans want. We want to, and what the players want to play. The coaches want to coach. Yeah. But it's too difficult right now for them to play.
I think, truthfully, if this were a routine game domestically, it probably would have been called earlier. But I think because it was here and everybody so badly wanted to play the game in front of the Marines and deliver the product and deliver what had been promised, maybe it went on a little bit longer. The players are unhappy, although both sides know. I'm not sure that the crowd knows. I'm not sure the Marines know yet that the game has been called. It has not been announced over the PA system. But everything that we understand is this game is not going to continue. Now you can see Jamie Dixon was down by the Gonzaga end of the floor, and he's making his way back to a pit huddle right now. But the decision is in the hands of the officials.
Yeah, this is not a decision that's made by the coaches or made by the organizers of the event. The officials are the ones that make this determination. And according to what they told us when they came over, they've made this decision.
Yep.
It's not being made, it's made.
So unless something is to change, and we haven't heard it yet, there will not be a second half played here in Okinawa.